Good morning, everyone. Here I am, an hour later than usual, but I am actually here doing a Technique Tuesday. It is week 2 of my son's spring break, and my daughter has gone back to school, although online. And my husband is back to normal work hours as well, and so we could work around his schedule a little bit. So he's upstairs. I'm in the basement. He's upstairs watching the boys and keeping an eye on them while I can come on here with you and do this live. I have no idea what it will look like for the next number of weeks once my boys have to go back to school online. Totally gonna play it by ear, and we'll see what happens with Technique Tuesdays, whether I start doing them in the evening or what, I'm not sure. So stay tuned because I will let you know. And otherwise, I know I might just share some past videos. We'll just see what happens. I have no idea. It's kind of a really weird time for us right now. But here we are, and I am excited that I get to share this idea with you. So I know that every crafter, every single crafter, doesn't even matter what kind of craft you have or what you do. It may not even be paper crafting, but everybody hits those points where they want to craft, but they have no inspiration and they can't. Inspiration has not struck and they are stuck. Maybe you have a card that you have to make for a very specific purpose, a birthday or even a funeral or wedding, or maybe it's a happy thing, maybe it's a sad thing. Maybe you promised to do a scrapbook layout for a friend or any of those kinds of things, and you kind of get stuck and you're not sure, what can I do? Maybe you scroll through Pinterest for ideas, but the pages are pretty, but they don't have any instructions with them, and you're not sure how to do it. Maybe you just don't even find them that inspiring. There's just not enough samples or examples for what you have in mind. I actually want to show you what I do first. The very first thing that I do when I have a very specific project that I'm working on. Sometimes I'm just playing, but often, I would say 90% of the time, I go to our Make It From Your Heart program, or how-to programs. And these are really awesome, beautiful pattern books that we have now. I'm going to show you. We have volume 1, volume 2. Both of these have cards and layouts in them. Okay. We have volume 3, which is now in this format. So it comes with these thick cardstock pages, lots of pages. See, look how many that is. Tons of pages. This is volume 3. It is just layouts, and you'll see I have a label, an album label holder, and that's how I keep mine separate. This is volume 3. It just has layouts. This one is volume 4. It just has cards. So it's a little bit, not as many pages, but it's got lots of card patterns. Don't worry, I'm going to give you an inside look of those. We now have volume 5, which is both cards and layouts, and I'm going to show you a peek inside this one. So this one's got lots of pages as well. I'm going to use that one in a minute. Those are our pattern books. Then we have 2 or 3 actual other programs. This one is called Love of Color, and I actually have 2 sets in here. And so the way Love of Color is set up, it's really full, really full. If they put out any more pages, I will not be able to fit them in here. The idea with Love of Color is that you would turn to a page. So here's Ruby. It's a retired color. We don't carry it any longer, but if you are a long-time customer, then you probably have some of this color in your stash. So, and what you would do is it gives you an idea, if you know you want to use Ruby, it gives you an idea of what other colors to use. So a 3-color combo, a 4-color combo, and a 5-color combo on every single page of this entire book. And so let me just pop over here. So here's Espresso. So you get the idea. There'll be 3 pieces of artwork for inspiration. And then we have our new colors are in a second set of cards. So green apple. Here we have grape. And so that way you have lots of ideas and inspiration for what colors to use for one, if you want to start with one, and then you can add on to that. You can see what colors look nice with that one. So that is Love of Color. And like I said, there's 2 books in this little binder. They do not come, none of these come with the binder. These are the Everyday Life 6x8 albums that I'm using. They work perfectly, they're the right width, and they just work really well with these pages. So that's Love of Color. The other thing that we have is a Story by Stacy Storyteller book. This is not a pattern book, but it is to help you with your journaling. And so it talks through, it has all of the different programs that we carry all in one. So Story Starter is the little 4x4 book that we've had in the past. Story Starter is the larger one. I think this is, it's the little, I think it was 6x6 album, I think. And it helps you, works you through some of the different things that you can do and gives you an inspiration for how you can use this on a layout instead of just in the very specific pages here. So here's an example of the 6x6, a 6x8, a 12x12 pocket. Then we have short story. And again, shows you how you can use that with different ways. And then Stories I Love, it talks you right through the process of what to do to write really meaningful journaling on these different formats. Stories I Love continues. There's some more. It's got lots more journaling. We're upping the thing here. Extended Story is how we can connect stories together, and it works you through an actual different styles of pages all put together into one kind of chapter. And some really gorgeous artwork here to give you some inspiration. It tells you what colors were used and all of that kind of stuff. So we have Extended Story, and then we have Connected Story, which helps you to connect maybe your history to what you're experiencing today, or maybe a bit of family connection. Maybe something like this one here talks about watermelon and how Stacy Julian's family, there's a connection through watermelon, and she documents that, and it's really beautiful. And so again, lots of really neat ideas for journaling. So that is Storyteller, and will help you get some really great journaling out of you. It helps you access your memories and all that kind of stuff. It's really awesome. So let me just show you how do you even use these things. That's the fun part. So I'm going to show you I'm going to show you a scrapbooking one, and I'm going to show you a card one. So with this one here, I chose, this is layout number 2. It's Make It From Your Heart volume 2. And here is where I'm going to come up a little bit so you can see it, and actually fold this over so you can really see. So what they do in every pattern book, now this is not Love of Color or Storyteller. This is our Make It From Your Heart program. Okay, so again, there's five volumes that you can use to get inspiration from, our newest one being volume 5. This is number 2. So here we have the pattern, and it shows you the names, or it gives you letters for each piece. It shows you the measurements for how high those pieces need to go, and then it'll give you a cutting guide. So for this layout, you need 1, 2, 3, 4 different papers, not including the base page, because the base page is just whatever color you want to use for your base page. Okay, it shows you what the measurements are and how to cut them. It also gives you the letters that correspond to the pieces in the pattern. Okay, so that's the base pattern. Now what they have done on the other side is shown you 2 examples of how to put this together. So some inspiration. And you'll notice that, let me fold this open again so you can see the difference. I'm going to put it down. These pieces here, the A, G, J, and P on the pattern are square. They're squared off. They're little rectangle pieces. That's this here. What they've done is they've replaced those pieces with Cricut cuts. So that is an example. They've also shown you some variations for embellishing, right? Because embellishing is that's one of the things that's a challenge, and that's why I did a Technique Tuesday live on embellishing and some tips for embellishing earlier. And so these give you some examples of where to put, first of all, where to put embellishments, maybe what kind of embellishments to use, and how they can play around with how they interact with the pattern itself. So you'll notice in this one, there's embellishments here. There's a few here by the journaling. And then their title grouping here, plus some more here. With this one, though, they added a little bit of tags up here, or banners. They've pulled that down and across to the bow here, and these ones here. And the title area is quite plain. It's just the title and an arrow. So that gives you some ideas of what you can do with this pattern. Now, let me show you one other thing you can do and how I made this layout. So if you were at my October, like way back, feels like forever ago. If you were at my October retreat, my virtual retreat, I taught this layout. I'm going to move these books out of the way because they're kind of getting in the way here. But this is what I did. So I actually think I have to pull the pattern out so I can see exactly what I did. I reduced one of the strips. I took one of them off because I didn't want them to be showing too much. And I also totally replaced these AGPJ pieces with just some Distress Oxide through stencil along with the glitter gel on top. Now, this is a technique I've been showing you in the last few weeks about how to use those stencils and Distress Oxidings. That's what I did here. I didn't even put a piece of paper in. This is right on the base page. Okay, now I also switched where my title was, and I switched my journaling and my title around. So because this is a very symmetrical layout, I could very easily do that. The other thing I did to add more photos is I added flip-flaps. Okay, and those are also spaces where I can now put some hidden journaling because I didn't want to take up a space with journaling over here and have it open. And now obviously anybody can flip this up and read them. I haven't even done them yet, but I wanted it to not take away from the overall look of my layout. So I chose to put them under my flip-flaps. And you'll notice that I've got clusters of embellishments here, here, and around my title space. So I kind of followed what they did here. That's an example of how to use a pattern to get your own look and your own, the way you love it yourself. So that is this layout. Now let's move on to a card, and this is where you're going to get a little sneak peek of products that aren't even available to you yet. Are you excited? So I'm going to come here to our Make It From Your Heart Volume 5. I have to say the patterns in this book, if you love unique patterns, so not just straight lines, you like shapes and visual interest on your layouts or cards, you are going to love this book. It is amazing. Just look at this. Okay, so these are the patterns here. They give you an overview so you can see which one you want to look at. But look at the fun things that are on here. Really unique patterns. These are not quick throw together layouts patterns. They're going to take a bit of time because you have more cutting to do, and some of them require some unique cutting, like the circles over here. So that, and all these little banners and everything. But let me show you when you get to, I'm just going to flip through this quickly. Then we have our cards, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. But here's an example of what they've done with this pattern book. So we have these, all this beautiful paper weaving, and they give you a tip of how to do that. And then they give you some color ideas. Now, they've also given you an example here. It says Love of Color Bluebell. So that is when you would pop over to Love of Color, and we'll pull out Bluebell. We'll look at that one. So you can see, where'd it go? Oh, 16. I thought it was the second one, but it's not. So you can see they used this to help them know what colors to use. And it looks like they chose this one here. So Bluebell, Sapphire, Paprika, Sundance, and Linen. So that's what's on that page there. So that's how our books kind of talk to each other. All right. So here we go. There's lots of really fun things here. I'm not going to spend tons of time. Like, look at how beautiful this looks. This is a way to highlight some really special photos. They are just really beautiful layouts. Okay, so lots of really unique, fun layouts in this particular book. Now, let's take a look at the cards. So the card patterns are very similar to the layout patterns with one less thing. They do not have the cutting guide at the bottom. What they have is a list of dimensions. All right, and so for this card, for example, you've got the pattern. You have your list of dimensions. They show you on the pattern what measurements to put your pieces on your card. And then they give you, again, 2 examples. And I have been working on my next card workshop. And so you're going to get to see some of them. So this is the card I made following this pattern. Now I had to make some adjustments. I needed to make this piece bigger so it fit my sentiment. But I very closely followed the idea of this one here. So I added some bluebells along the bottom here. So you can see those there. And there's one over here. It's really hard to see, but it's there. And then I just focused on putting an image there instead of the sentiment here, instead of what they did here, which was the sentiment here and an image here. Okay? So and then we have this one here. I'm not going to show you all of my cards. I want to particularly focus on this one here because this gives you an example of how a pattern can give you some simple pieces and you can dress it up quite a bit. So with this one here, so this card right here, perfect for using up those scraps of paper that you have. Now I know I had some interest from people asking me to do a Technique Tuesday that talked about how to use up your scraps. This is one example right here. I've decided not to do a specific one. I'm just going to throw them in there. These tips every once in a while. Scraps. Here you go, right here. This is great for zip strips because all of these pieces are 1/2 inch wide or tall, high, and 2.5 inches wide. So you can actually get quite a bit out of these little pieces. Now let me show you what I did with this. So first of all, before I show you my card, look at the difference here. Look at the huge difference that just changing the way that these strips are made. Very, very simple, but it really steps it up. The card is not as simple as it looks there. This one was done with thin cuts. We have these borders, and then they added this fun holly right here and some embellishing thread right at the bottom. That's not on the pattern, but it shows you what you can do with it. With this one, they did Cricut cut borders here, and then they added the image on the bottom. Very, very cute. So let me show you what I did with it, because I didn't want to leave it just like that either. This is what I did. So because paper tearing is really popular, it's coming right back again, I did some paper tearing and inking with Archival Black ink. This is stamped with Archival Black ink. And I made them go in together instead of out. And that's one of the things I just wanted to draw more attention to the inside, which is different than what this is. So the other thing that I did is I used this idea of putting something there on the bottom, but I had to balance it. So I pulled it up over here. I guess it was kind of more like this one. Look, I even used an arrow. See, like that's how much you can do. And I chose to leave this blank. I didn't want to add anything there. But that is one example of what you can do with a card pattern that will step it up. Now, you'll also notice that this sentiment space is larger than this, because if you look, that goes much further down the card than this is. It's not 2.5 inches. So I just adjusted. And that was also one of the reasons why I didn't need to put this on here. But so that's just one example, 2 examples, 3 examples of how you can use pattern books to get some really great inspiration. These are all available right now on my website. You can purchase them. Again, these Make It From Your Heart ones come just with the cards, the pages. They do not come with the album. You can try and find a 6x8 album in at Staples or something like that. I did have one that I used, but it wasn't quite wide enough, and these pages stuck out. So I think you have to be careful what you buy, but that's why these are really great. These Everyday Life albums are perfect for this, and they're quite durable. So they're going to stick up. And like I said, all of these are printed on nice thick cardstock, cardboard almost, and they're a lot of fun. So that is what I've got to show you today, and stay tuned to my page because I will be releasing this card workshop next month, and you can see the rest of them there. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you're having a great day and a great week, and hopefully I will see you back here next week. Bye.